What is up, Axie fam? You read the title of the video, so let's get going to it. Alrighty guys, so today we're gonna talk about a number that is super important, and actually I have never seen anyone talk about it. And whether it be just a normal YouTuber or a breeding YouTuber, and you know why people don't talk about this number? It's because it's kind of a hard number to get. Like right now, considering the tools that we have to look at stats about X Infinity, this is not a number anyone can get to, but it is such an important number. And the number I'm talking about is actually the ratio of axies, of zero breed axies of a certain type being sold in relationship to the bulk number of that same type of axies. I guess to make this easier for you guys to understand, imagine a new trend of axies, like the Golda Arco Furball Twin Tail I made tons of videos about in season 19, right? Once I actually got the first one, I had zero interest, I had zero reason to sell my zero breed axies of that type, right? Because I owned the market in a certain way. I was the second one to get that axie, and so it was in my best interest to actually breed those zero breed axies and just keep selling the ones that were already bred, because I had kind of a monopoly on the market. But as with everything, once more people were able to also get a hold of that axie, it became more popular, and eventually what happened is a lot of people, the prices of the zero breeds drop because there's enough of them, there's enough sell pressure that people start selling. And I, one of the first ones that actually initiated, saw the prices dropping, saw my margins dropping, and I start selling my zero breeds because I'm like, all right, I am going to find something else to breed now. And that is usually the cycle of pretty much every axie, right? Someone finds it out, kind of proves it in the PvP that it works, and then it starts breeding, the prices soar, and then the prices drop. It's literally the same thing every time. So, and this is so fun, right? Because I do consulting quite a bit, and a lot of people, they come in and they say, I mean, I made a lot of money in X Infinity. Like I selected whatever build it was and it worked really well. For like 2 months we made a shitload of money, but I didn't really left this space fast enough, and then I also lost a bunch of money at the end when I sold all of those axes from my farm for a pretty decent amount of money. For a pretty small amount of money, sorry. When you can actually calculate or figure out what is that ratio of zero breeds being sold versus the total amount of axies being sold of that type, it is much easier for you to take good decisions, to make good decisions, so that you don't lose money. So let me show you an example, all right? I'm gonna show you two types of axies. One type of axie that is right at the beginning, or relatively at the beginning of its cycle, versus an axie that is much older, okay? So let's look at this axie right here. It's the Arco Balloon Nutcracker. And the reason this axie is going is super hype right now is that almost none of the cards got nerfed. Arco is the only one that got hit, and just a little bit, because it was not really a nerf. It made it, you have to play it as a combo, but overall still a really good axie. And I actually have it selected by zero breed right now, but when we look at 7 breeds, there are 49 axies in the marketplace being sold right now. And in total, when you actually look at it, there are 342 axies. So relatively small pool of axies, and much more important, there are only 3 zero breed axies being sold in the marketplace right now, which is that same situation of the Furball Twin Tail I was talking about in the past. Now compare this to the to a very popular build that still pretty decent, obviously. Some of the cards even got buffs, which is the tiny the Kotaro, Tiny Dino, Scaly Spoon, and Indian Star. So if you compare this, it's almost double the amount of axies sold, like listed in the marketplace. So it doesn't feel like that much of a difference, but when we look at the actual number of axies, you got almost 3,000, which almost 10x the amount of Axies compared to that Mac we were talking about. Okay. Another thing very important to mention, when we look at zero breeds, whilst that one had only 3 listed, this one has 23 zero breeds. All right, so the cycle is much more developed here when you compare that to the Mac. How can we find that ratio, the ratio that I talked about the entire video? Well, the way you get that ratio is actually using our bot, I mean my bot that I created, that I love. And you know, I actually have 0 sponsors in my channel. I really don't talk about any other NFT projects, any other games besides Axie. But this is something that I'm very passionate about, and I wouldn't be like, you know, selling out to myself if I didn't really feel like this was really good. And I don't think there's any service at the moment for the price that we sell our bot that really can show you things like this. So when I look for Kotaro, Scaly Spoon, Indian Star, Tiny Dino, I can actually look at the average price in the last 21 days, which is something that we just added, you know, pretty hype feature. But I can look at how many total X. I know it actually says reference zero bid price, but this is the total number of Axies that were sold in the last week. And here, this is the number of Axies that had the 0 and 2 breed Axies that had less than 80% purity, then more than 80% purity, then more than 92% purity. So these are the 0 breed Axies that are being sold right now, you could say, versus the total number. So what is that ratio? If we look at it right now, you can see that it is, let's see, 90 plus 43 plus 7. So it's 140 total Axies. And that is divided by 465. So almost 30% of all of the Axies being sold are 0 breed, which indicate that we are definitely moving towards a more saturated market, right? Because more people, you know, the first person that started actually breeding this hardcore probably already left the space or is already leaving the space. Now, compare this to the Mac that we're talking about. I do have the graph here. So this is the, here we go. So Nutcracker, Arco, Balloon, Nutcracker. We have 104 Axies sold total. You know how many 0 or 2 breed being sold? 1. Literally 1. And sure, you can make an argument that Macs are more expensive, so people maybe breed it more than 2 times in comparison to a reptile. So that's why you only get 1 here. Even when you consider that, like, only 1 0 or 2 breed in, like, out of 104, you can see that there is a huge difference in ratio. And this is probably one environment that you could jump in, and there's still like a decent amount of the life cycle where you can actually profit off of. And I'm not saying you cannot profit out of the you know, this Kotaro, Scaly Spoon, Indian Star build. It probably means the margins are a little bit lower. My point here is, I think this number, which is 30% here in comparison to like 1% in the other one, is probably more important, not for you to decide whether you should join a particular market or not, but whether you should leave a particular space or not. You know what I mean? So yeah, I find this really fun. And it's awesome to be back and you're talking about all of these things. I'm really proud that now I actually have access to it. As far as I know, there's no service that can really give you that number right now. And yeah, I mean, thank you so much for watching, guys. Sorry for the, you know, selling out part at the end, but I do feel like this is something like kind of unheard of, and it's like super cheap right now because we sell, you know, based on Ethereum. So, you know, with Ethereum prices dropping, it's even cheaper than it was, and we didn't really mess with the prices. So maybe try it out. Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.